Dollar. Dirt and money, no soul. Had to go and get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack and flip for my foes. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar. Let me watch out for my partners. Keep my money long, get my team strong. Let me run away from my problems.
Yep, what's good, original crew, man? We're back. We got a new Sunny V2. He went on Joe Rogan, then killed someone 38 days later. That crazy? Shot there again. That's what it's giving me. It's giving me cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. What about you, C?
Facts.
Can you slide over a little bit? Don't cover too hot. It's hot, bro. It's already warm outside. I don't know. I think my allergies bother me too.
Yeah.
I feel like so congested right here. It's that time of year. It's gonna be hell for the next about 2 weeks of this whole weather change. Mm-hmm. Probably about a month. But hey man, with that being said, before we get into it, make sure you check out the links in the description box
down below.
You already know where to go if you want to first part. All you gotta do is check out down below. Also, if you enjoyed today's visuals,
like it with a thumbs up.
And I know a lot of people always say, "Hey, I didn't know y'all had another channel." That's why we always say, check out the links in the description box. A lot of people don't even know about this channel, man. And that's the reason why, it's weird, bro. Because a lot of the content they really be looking for that they used to us doing, we kind of transition it to over here. Mm-hmm. This is more like a lot of the stuff that's like more commentary stuff. Yeah. For some reason, it turned like that. I don't know why. But like the Sunny V2, the Patrick CC now, the 90 Day Fiance, all that type of stuff been going on over here. So, hey, if you're new, welcome. If you're back, welcome.
Right.
Thanks for being part of the family, man. But you ready, C?
I'm ready.
All right, let's get into it. Let's see what they got cooked up for us today. Let's go.
On the 1st of February 2024, Sheldon Johnson appeared on the Joe Rogan Experience. 38 days later, he was arrested and charged with murder. It was episode 2096, with Joe Rogan, Sheldon Johnson, and another person named Josh Dubin. Josh had been on the podcast 6 different times before, explaining on an earlier episode that he was a lawyer who worked with wrongfully convicted felons.
We're here to get the word out about wrongful convictions.
In 3 out of 6 of Josh's appearances, he'd bring these wrongful convicts to tell their story.
He spent 3 decades in jail for murders that he didn't commit.
So when Josh brought in Sheldon Johnson, it seemed this would be another positive episode, but it quickly became apparent that Sheldon was slightly different.
I figured we'd do something a little bit different. Typically, the person sitting to my right is someone that was wrongfully convicted. Sheldon is guilty.
Sheldon had only just been released from a 25-year prison stint, but Josh had brought him on specifically as an example of someone who'd been given an unfair amount of time, believing Sheldon never deserved his 25 years in prison. Well, you can be the judge of that. Born 1975, Sheldon Johnson grew up in the Martin Luther King Jr. Towers, aka a poverty-stricken housing project in Harlem, New York City. His entire family tree had been in and out of prisons.
My father was incarcerated. He did about 15 years. I was incarcerated. My grandfather was incarcerated. My great-grandfather was a slave. And my son killed somebody when he was 12 years old.
While Sheldon was the only one in his family who had functional hearing.
My mother's deaf, my father's deaf, my sister's deaf, my aunt is deaf. I grew up in a deaf household.
Therefore, his father, a drug dealer, brought Sheldon along to help him translate deals, and by the age of 12, Sheldon had joined the exact same line of work.
It sounds like just a repeated cycle over and over again, man.
That's it.
That's the reason why I always say this. Sometimes, like, you can become, very systematic. Because this is systematic, too. Where you keep following the system that your family has created for you. I know we always want to blame the system, but sometimes we are creating a system within our own family lineage. So, but it can take that one person to say, okay, I don't want my kids to see that. I don't want my kids to be a part of the environment. I don't want my kids. Somebody got to break the cycle. Because we can't be like, I'm a product of my environment. Like, yeah, you could say that, but also you could choose not to be that. You know? Like I always say, I come from a background of a lot of people that constantly, like, my only remembrance of me, one of my uncles, is one time in my life. Yeah. And the interaction with that was, 2-3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, and then it was very awkward because he approached me like, we had all at my grandma's house. We having a family gathering. Who are you? I'm like, it's family gathering. I'm fixing my plate, trying to eat some. My grandma's sitting right there. And I'm like...
Because your entire life he's been locked up.
He's been locked up my entire life, and I never met him. And unfortunately, he's back in jail. And so...
Is he...
Huh?
Is he in, like, county jail or he in prison?
That part, I don't never get a
But he was
direct
in
answer
prison
because I don't
before.
really be caring.
But he was in prison.
He was in
so-
prison before.
Yeah.
Where he's at now, I really don't know. I know he's locked up.
Yeah.
Conversation with my dad, but I don't know if he's like... Because my
Yeah.
dad just told me he's going to probably end up doing some time. Again. So
Yeah.
I'm like, eventually he going to just die in there. So
Yeah.
it is what it is. But and he just approached me on some aggression. I'm like, bro, I ain't no inmate. I don't come from that lifestyle. I'm not an inmate lifestyle person. But my other uncle, he is. All my cousins on that side is.
Yeah.
Everybody sell dope. That's what they do. Like, you know what I'm saying? But me, I chose different for myself, you know? And sometimes you got to choose. You got to want to choose different for yourself and not follow. Because, I can be, like, honestly, if I fell into that same, I'll be probably selling drugs, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll be locked up right now.
Yeah.
Because my other cousin that's the same age as me and he's locked up right now. Gang banging, selling dope. So sometimes, also, he said his son killed somebody at 12.
Yeah.
What was your son introducing around? Was he around these same projects and same housing authority communities and stuff? Were you subconsciously influencing him with this? You might not think you are, but you, like, not knowing, are influencing him to follow behind your footsteps. So, I don't know, man. It can be crazy, bro.
And by the age of 12, Sheldon had joined the exact same line of work.
I started selling drugs. Guy offered me an opportunity to be a lookout, and I would just stand there, and eventually I just slowly moved up the ranks. It turned me into this person that I was never meant to be.
As a result, he began to rack up charges.
Driving without a license, standing on the corner, little small...
Technically, he said the person I'm not meant to be. It might have been the person you were meant to be, though. I know because we all in life have choices, but your dad introduced you to the drug game early. You chose because you see the fast money and all that, and you already introduced to it. You could have, somebody offered you a position, you could have just said no. Mm-hmm. I only help my dad out because that's how he provides. I don't know.
Charges.
Driving without a license, standing on the corner, little small petty drug cases.
And spent most of his teens in the Rikers Island prison, although it'd be after his release at the age of 21 that things went downhill badly. He'd commit 2 different armed robberies, receiving a sentence of 50 years in prison, which Josh argued was incredibly unfair, given only one person received minor injuries.
He got hit in the head with the gun right here on the side of his head, and he got 2 stitches, and they gave me 25 years for that case.
Did you hit him in the head?
No.
Regardless, prison is where Sheldon realized he had to turn his life around.
It was at that moment I really said I have to change my life. I just can't do this.
Beginning at Prison Journal.
He said 2 armed robberies, right? Mm-hmm. Okay.
That moment I really said I have to change my life. I just can't do this.
Beginning a Prison Journal about hope, change, and reform. In his entry letter to my younger self, it explained just because you're surrounded by violence does not mean that violence is the way to solve your problems. Sheldon, 2 wrongs do not make a right. Violence only begets violence. Learn how to respond and not react.
So let me ask you this. Do you think his sentence was justified for the 2 armed robberies? And even though he said, I don't think I should have received 25 years just because somebody was hit in the head and got 2 stitches.
You know me. I can't never give a direct answer because I'm always like, I don't know what people normally get.
Throw in hypotheticals and all.
Well, no, I just don't know, like with charges like that, what people normally get. And it does sometimes depending on the state, depending on the judge. It depends.
So,
like a lot of situations happen, especially if you already have a criminal
Let me
history.
interject real quick for you. Because I could. It's armed robbery. Armed robbery
with a weapon
is already heightened.
Right.
If it's just a robbery, it's not as hard. But a weapon was involved, the charges.
Right. But I'm saying is that like normally
that's to be honest, from what I've seen, that's everywhere. If it's a robbery, and armed robbery.
Oh, so people don't get 25 years?
It's possibility because he's a convicted felon already, because he already been in the system. Then it's not just one robbery. You got convicted for 2 robberies, and we know for a fact one was an armed robbery. Mm-hmm. So,
like I answered it basically.
Okay.
I said for me, I don't really know what people normally get, but I do know that charges do heighten depending on your criminal history, depending on sometimes depending on the state, depending on the judge, depending on a lot of things. So
the reason why I'm kind of like
I can't say no or yes. Like I'm all about if you do the crime, do the time. But I do know that sometimes they do overdo the charges depending on like situations. But this could have went. Child, don't ask me.
And the only reason why I'm like,
I try not to be.
Only reason why I'm like, I really don't like, because you try to downplay it and say the person was only hit upside the head with the gun.
Only got 2 stitches.
And only got 2 stitches, but you don't know the long lasting effect that it might have on that individual.
Yeah.
Now this individual might have trauma from the situation.
Most definitely.
They might have to seek a therapist. They probably will never be the same mentally because of the actions that y'all did. So don't try to downplay it for your behalf. But like I always say, if you do the crime, if you man enough to do the crime, be man enough to do the time.
Whatever it is.
If you get caught.
Because my thing is, if you're doing something and you get caught, you go to whatever, you don't know what somebody may give you. So what about just staying out of the way, like not doing anything at all? Like y'all chose to go and do what y'all did, ruin somebody's life, because like you said, it does have long lasting effects on people. Like I'm paranoid. Like I don't. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of things.
I might have to go to
like
therapy.
Mentally happen. So
it might have a cause and effect.
I try not
on
to
something
be like
else.
harsh, but I do, sometimes I am, because like you said earlier, you have choices, and this is the life that you're choosing. So, I mean, you have to live with it.
Cause you could have came home. Everything was juvenile. You could have came and changed your whole life. It's plenty of people who went through the juvenile system and had a bad choice.
Yeah.
But when they came out as an adult, they decided to want to do a complete change in their life. Mm-hmm. But you decided to go back into the streets, and the 25 years was justified in my eyes.
Right, violence only begets violence. Learn how to respond and not react. In a different entry hid state, as we know, I'm currently in prison, which I've learned does one of 2 significant things to its occupants. Brings the best out of them or the worst.
I saw individuals who were at their worst, and I saw guys who were at their best. The guys who were at their best were guys who were involved in education, post-secondary education programs.
Realizing the role model prisoners were those with an education, Sheldon spent years educating himself.
I got into school, I got my GED, and then I went on to obtain my bachelor's in behavioral science from Mercy. I stopped smoking weed, I stopped smoking cigarettes. I started working in the law library. I discovered that I had a knack for complicated things, case law, and I was actually helping guys get out of prison.
He'd further add to his journal, I have grown dramatically in these 14 years, when I could have easily withered away. I've learned that I love Shakespeare, that I love acting, that I love writing, that I enjoy reading philosophy, that I love reading criminal law, that I love writing legalese. Sheldon had changed his life to such an extent, BuzzFeed advocated for his release back in 2016. He became a model inmate, said David Roth, the prison social worker. His days were so full that he went to bed exhausted and fell asleep immediately. As a result of his good behavior, Sheldon was released after 25 years of his 50-year sentence, appearing on a podcast called Success After Lockdown, on which he'd imply that he'd never go back to prison.
I said, he got 50 years. But he
50 years, but he
only did 25.
Now the 50 years might be extreme.
The 50 years, yeah.
I
don't know. I'm not going to say yes or no.
It's possible he got 225 sentence, and they ran concurrent.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It
could be that type of situation.
Yeah, I don't know, those details. But yeah, 50 years, but he got released at 25 years.
called Success After Lockdown, on which he'd imply that he'd never go back to prison.
I'm reflecting, I'm saying to myself, like, yo, I can't spend the next 50 years like this.
When he'd appear on Joe Rogan 1 month later, Sheldon again implied that he wouldn't go back to jail.
Individuals who have been shown to acquire associate's degrees and bachelor's degrees are like 92% less likely to return back to prison.
With Josh using Sheldon as an example, that change was always possible.
How do you make change happen? He's living it and making it happen. Look at this beautiful mind and how he articulates himself.
He began working for the Queen's Defenders, helping troubled youth.
I'm trying to catch these kids before they fall, and I want to show them the way.
And even began to consider more formal education.
Sheldon asked me, should I go to law school before we came here?
In the process, expressing his disbelief that he'd turned his life around.
I just came from the bowels of hell. 25 years in prison, and now I'm in the sky above the clouds in the heavens, headed to a destination to talk about change and to talk about all of the things that brought me to this place today.
Joe Rogan even posted a clip titled, "Sentenced to 50 years, Sheldon Johnson decided to turn his life around." However, Sheldon would make one final important claim.
But this is how fast your life can change from just one simple mistake.
This became reality only 38 days later.
He claimed that he had turned his life around after spending most of his adult life in prison. In fact, last year, he started working.
Hold on. I didn't even pay attention to what she had to say. I read the headline. That's gruesome. All right, hold on. That's gruesome. A torso?
Whole torso.
After spending most of his adult life in prison. In fact, last year, he started working for the Queen's Public Defender's Office. Well, now he is accused of killing a man and then dismembering his body.
Sheldon was childhood friends with a man named Colin Small, with whom he'd also spent over 10 years in prison. Therefore, upon Sheldon's release, Small was helping Johnson get back on his feet. However, at some point, their friendship took a turn. On the 6th of March 2024, police received a call from a tenant who lived in New York, claiming to have heard 2 gunshots from Colin Small's apartment, as well as a voice begging, "Please don't, I have a family." Police drove over to the flat and knocked on the door, only to find Sheldon Johnson inside, who claimed that Colin Small had apparently gone upstate. Well, police searched the apartment and found half of Colin Small's body, finding the other half back at Sheldon's apartment, in addition to concrete and a Tyvek suit. CCTV outside Colin's apartment showed Sheldon Johnson entering and exiting, trying to conceal his identity with a range of different disguises. In one of these stills, he's seen wearing the exact same jacket as he was in a photo he took for the Queen's Defenders. Sheldon was therefore arrested and charged with Colin's murder, screaming "I'm innocent" as he was placed into the cop car.
Bro, come on. Really?
Oh, that shit
I'm
embedded.
innocent.
That shit embedded in him.
They got you on so much.
Because not even the fact that you killed this man, you weren't even going through the process to dismember the body to get rid of it. You was gonna dig with the cement. Where you was gonna like put him in cement and try to dump his body into the harbor, and hopefully it drowned. Like, you know. Oh Lord, it be people like this though. It be the activists. It be the like. Sometimes, you know what I'm saying. This stuff is like. This is the only type of shit that's made for like television and movies. This is the type of stuff you see in like TV shows, not in real life. But they have to come up with the concept from real life, you know? Damn. And then you see that man had a wig on one time?
That was a head or something.
No, it was a blonde. That was a blonde wig. It looked like a blonde wig to me. It looked like it had
a wig or a coat.
Hold on, it has a part and it dangles. That's a wig.
I thought it was like the.
Yeah, I know what coat, because that's what I thought it was at first. I thought it was the coat with the little fur. That's a whole wig with it got curls and stuff in it, because this the middle part. Middle part bust down. That man, what the hell? And then got the nerve to say I'm innocent.
Sheldon's murder, screaming "I'm innocent" as he was placed into the cop car. Sheldon maintained this innocence all the way to court.
Yesterday, Sheldon Johnson pleaded not guilty to the charges. He had quite a few supporters inside the courtroom.
As the comments on his episode changed overnight. Imagine being locked up for being wronged by the system for over 25 years, only to prove that the system was right. Amazing. The judge who gave him 50 years must feel pretty smart right now. I really believed I was gonna die in prison. Well, you're not wrong, buddy. Sheldon's own father stated, "I'm surprised my son was arrested. I was shocked. He learned and studied in prison for 26 years. He is a good man. He was doing work in a law office. There were no problems, but I doubt nobody was as shocked as Josh Dubin." He ended Sheldon Johnson's episode stating,
I'm very thoughtful in who I bring on. I think this was one of the best ones yet.
but is still yet to talk publicly since Sheldon's new allegations. Joe, on the other hand, talked about it recently.
He was guilty before, and we knew he was guilty, but he got 50 years.
Right.
And then he was talking about he turned his life around this, like, a month after he was on the podcast. Cut some dude's head off. Homie didn't understand new HD security cameras.
Theorizing that prison had only made him worse.
Was that because he spent 25 fucking years in jail, which is an insane amount of time to be locked up in a prison and then expect to acclimate.
And that's my thing with a lot of it. Like, just imagine, which, you know, during the holiday seasons, when I do go back home, I'll be going back to interact with another family member who recently have gotten out, right? And this family member has done 25 years in jail. Possibly. In prison. Possibly. I told y'all about the interaction I had with my uncle. My uncle did. I don't know for a fact how long he did because he had stints in this state, stints here. So it was like a concurrent to the point where I never met him in my life because he was always in jail. I really have family members who have done like time in prison that when I go home I have to interact with them and see how prison has affected them, and I see how it's hard for people to adapt to the real world once they come home from prison. Like, the part about the education, it's very easy to get I feel, me personally, this is how I look at it. The way he was talking about, right? Talking about, hey, the education process in prison, it might be a lot easier for someone in prison to get the education and try to go through certain things when you have nothing but time. When you in a jail with nothing but time, nothing but sit there with your thoughts. But you come back into the real world, you having to deal with so many personalities, so many obstacles in one day that you can build a routine in prison.
Yeah.
Anything can happen in the real world. The slightest thing can alter how you thought your routine was going. You can get a flat tire today, and it ruins your whole mood for the whole. That's not something you have to deal with. Them. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could just see something that you like. It's so like that's the reason why I feel like it's kind of hard for people to adapt to the real world. Is because of how much things have changed. And like Joe said, bro, forgot, bro, there's cameras everywhere now. 25 years ago when you went to prison, there wasn't cameras. And then if there was cameras, the camera quality wasn't as crisp as it is now.
Yeah.
Bro, we see you in 4K, bro. We know it's you. Bro, it's easy to be identified now opposed to back then, 25 years ago. Technology is not the same. You carrying around a tracking device all day long because as soon as you open up an Instagram app, before you can even use it, you have to turn on your location services. So you've been tracked 24/7 anyways. You're not going to be able to get away with it. Now, do certain people get away with crimes? Yeah. Still to this day, it might be some things going on. But this is mind-blowing, bro.
To say the least.
To sit up here and say how you were so reformed, you did this, and a person that you actually know you did that to, a childhood friend, and then
They say he served time with him?
it was a childhood friend and he served time with him.
Like, what in your mind, like, made you snap to the point where you took his life and dismembered his body?
And said F everything you had going on.
And lied about it. And didn't care about that he had a family, that he got friends, he got people that's going to love him, that's going to miss him. Like, all of that. Like, what really ticked you off that bad where you snapped and you was like, everything else I done learned or what I'm trying to do with my life that you claim or whatever the case may be went out the window, and you was like, yep.
And I'll say this on some real spill, y'all. I know some people go so deep into hearing people's stories and be like, and have a sentimental attachment to it, or like drawn into it, sometimes sentimental. Honestly, y'all need to go start reading these cases y'all damn self and look at the details your damn self. Anybody can sell a story, but the facts are the facts of the case. Somebody can say, "Hey, how much?" But you sit there and read it, and you like. And I know you can't judge everyone by their past, but certain people you can be like, bro, you know, like it's one thing to say, "Hey, y'all used to steal from a Walmart time and time again because I was down bad and I needed it." But an armed robbery, we setting up, it's certain. And then, unfortunately, the documents of whatever he did as a minor, those things going to be sealed because he was a minor. You won't be able to get your hands on that information.
Yeah.
But if I can reach a 100% full case, just don't tell me, "Oh, I hit a guy, he got 2 stitches in his head, and I don't think I deserve." Like, let's actually read
claim he didn't even hit the guy, but yeah.
Claim he didn't hit the guy, but
yeah.
go read the facts of his case. I'm sure it's out there. Because I didn't start reading facts of cases of people I personally know, and what I was told is not necessarily always the truth. And the facts are the facts, and you just try to you try to sum it, and you got to be like, damn, really? It really happened like that? And so you familiarize yourself with, like, tread lightly, you know?
And I get it that, people can go in and come out and change whatever, but you do have to really have to have discernment when it comes to a lot of people, because everything is not just like plain and simple. Like, I get it, like you said, he was in there doing all this other type of stuff. You had nothing but time. I would become a changed person too if I went to prison for doing some stuff. I have nothing else to do. I have nothing like influencing me to do anything other than my daily routine in prison.
Man, 25 years, you could have came out with a doctorate degree.
What you said, I can become anybody I want to be up in that joint. So, like, getting out and actually, like, becoming, living in society amongst everyone, like, that's different. Like, that's totally different. So you really do have to be careful when you, like, feel, especially if you know they're guilty. It's a difference when, like, somebody maybe you feel that they are innocent, but when you know that they have done these crimes, you know for a fact, and they're not denying that they, are a criminal, that's when you kind of got to, like, really tread lightly. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's crazy, though. Rest in peace to that man.
Yeah.
I forgot. I don't want to say it like that, but,
was it Calvin?
Was it Rob?
No, it wasn't no Robert. It was like Calvin or something like that. But
rest in peace.
Rest in peace to him. Condolences to his family. But also don't know what led up to any of the altercations. But still, at the end of the day, he don't think nobody deserves to lose their life
and lose their life
and dismember and all that.
Like, that was gruesome.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Rest in peace to him. Yeah. Most definitely.
But hey, man, y'all spam us up in the comments. Y'all let us know y'all thoughts for us about it in the comment section down below. But until next time, y'all know how it go, man. I do go by the name DJ New Kid. This is
Tierra Nicole.
We are.
Kid and C.
We are.
Go and get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack of flip for my folks. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar. Let me watch out for my partner.